Like, we could talk about Miami because I would love to talk about Miami. I think of all the rankings in our magazine, and I am not offending anybody who worked on the rankings with me, I think we are the most wrong about Miami. I'm the one in the room that was like, Miami, way too high on this list. I don't trust the coaching staff unless he's like truly just going to be a CEO. Unless he's going to be like a CEO of the team and not be involved in the game day the game day decision making. And the quarterback who is even throwing a football until camp, and even when he is perfectly healthy, which
Miami
I think
number 10, by the way.
Yeah, Miami's number 10, one spot ahead of Florida. I think I have them more in like the 18, 19, 20 range, which still could be ACC championship game good. They still could be in the ACC championship game. And there's nobody with more talent than them other than Clemson in the ACC. But trusting, like they had, I cover the Titans here in Nashville, and I've seen Cam Ward up close and personally now. A few weeks, I'm about to head out there. This is mini camp. I'm starting to date the pod here, but he is extraordinary, and the talent they had around him on offense was really good. And I know they've brought in a bunch of pieces, but I don't trust the coach to do like they still lost games in insane fashion last year, and they should have lost the Cal game in insane fashion. Like they should have lost more games. Virginia Tech. So I don't trust Miami at all. I trust Florida, South Carolina, LSU. I trust all those programs in that same range more than I trust Miami. So sorry, I feel like this is a safe space to rip on Miami.
It absolutely is. You get garner some fans there.
What are we talking about? No,
it was just like Florida playing both LSU, Miami early in the season, and continuity, cohesion versus heavy transfer portal.
I think LSU's a little more of a blend of the cohesion and the transfer than Miami is. I think Miami is the example of like, let's go buy some players, let's try to win. I think what Florida has done is, and I don't know if this is on purpose or this is just sort of the way Billy Napier is wired. My guess is probably a little bit of both. And that is the thing that everyone should be learning in this process from watching Ohio State and Michigan the last 2 years win the national title is about continuity. It is about paying to retain your best players, not necessarily paying to go hire mercenaries out of the portal to come fill a need. You should do that too in select circumstances when it's the right player at the right position of need, and I think you have to do it. Everybody that played in the playoff in the Final Four or whatever, they lost 25 players in the portal, and they brought in like 10 or 12, but those 10 or 12 were high-level 4-star guys that were proven commodities. So I think you do that. But the thing that Ohio State, Michigan did, and Penn State's doing it this year, I think Florida's doing it on kind of a tier down in terms of the national rankings, is retain your talent. Keep your core together. Keep your group together and let them grow together. And that used to be just the way college football worked.
Right.
And now it's, well, no, the NFL was a better option. Well, now it's maybe not. Like, staying together is worth the money. It's worth it for a football team to do that. And so I think it also, this is where it's perfect. Like, you also don't want to be fake. You want to be authentic. Yeah. And it also fits into Billy Napier's MO and how he has built built Louisiana and now building Florida. So the teams that are there at, like, back to my point about like 10 through 35 or 40, we have Miami, Florida, and South Carolina because of, like, those are the ones that have the best combination of all that stuff. And if you look at the teams after that, there's a lot of teams that have a lot of talent. I think I'm very high on Kansas State. Illinois is in there. Michigan's in there. These are good teams, good players. But like, I trust Florida, South Carolina personally, not Miami. But I got to walk the company line here. And so like those two to me, combination of coach, stability, talent, building, progress, all that stuff, and success. Like, look at South Carolina and Florida and the way they finished the season last year. There's nobody in the they were playing as well as anybody in America at the end of last season, both those teams. So and they've kept a lot of their pieces together. South Carolina lost a lot of players on defense, but I think they've recruited better than, like, their talent stepping in is a little bit more talented, a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, but inexperienced. So their schedule is what sets them up. Like, their first 5 or 6 games, like, they should be undefeated. Their schedule in the back half is tough, but so that's what you have to weigh all this stuff, and you have to figure out, like, all right, who do I trust, who do I like? But the retention, and I do think LSU is more of that than Miami is.
One more thought from you, Braden. I know you got to go. Stephen Lassen, your colleague there, had a cool segment in there, the Sunshine State Intrigue. Now, we talked about Miami a little bit earlier, but this is about Florida, Miami, FSU, and it's been 10 years since one has reached a college football playoff, and that being Florida State, of course. You talked about Miami earlier. Florida State, like, what? I mean, what? How do you view a team that had that much success 2 years ago, falls completely on their face, and they're kind of an afterthought right now, and it happens so fast.
Yeah. So I think you do have to caveat that you've never been in the playoff. 13-0 in a 14 playoff.
Yes.
You got to admit that that's a hell of a team. And this will also, I realize this is also pandering, but that team had no business without Jordan Travis being in the playoffs. So this whole oh, Florida State got screwed. It's like, well, who else are you going to screw then if you're going to take them, if you're going to put them in the playoff? Frankly, I think Georgia was better that year, and Georgia's the team that got screwed out of the playoff. And it's Georgia actually that year. That would have been one of those years like Ohio State last year, where if you put Georgia in a 10-team playoff or 12-team playoff, and they're like the 6th seed, that ain't the team you want to play. So all that being said, Florida State is, and honestly, now that I'm thinking, like, this experiment could not have happened at a more likely place than Florida State. And maybe this is insulting to Florida State. I don't know. But Florida, if there's going to be a program that's going to try to quick fix stuff, that's going to try to sort of like glitz and glam their way, or like big shiny object. I don't even know. It's like the opposite of the patience and investment in the culture. Like that we're so Florida State that we can go get good enough players to go 13-0. But we're also so Florida State that we can immediately win 2 games in a season. And I think that is as Florida State as it gets. It's like how far away is Tallahassee from Auburn? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not that far away. And Tallahassee and Auburn, there's a reason that those 2 fan bases and those 2 programs kind of function the way they do. And so it's an experiment because Norvell was considered. Because I love the Gus Malzahn hire, by the way. I think that's going to bring some stability and consistency to the offense that they just have not had, some physicality, the running game. I think they're clearly going to be better this year. So are they a 7-win team? That's kind of where I would put them. So clearly huge improvement, but a far cry from the year before. It's an experiment about what Norvell really is and what his philosophy is. And it's, Billy Napier, for flaws and for all of the faults of the strategy, it's slowly been working. It requires certain things to work, but it's working. Norvell, it's like he's, let's try this. Let's try that. Let's try this. Let's try. And I think you've got to figure out at Florida State, Florida, and LSU's another one, because I think Brian Kelly's doing the same stuff, trying to figure out the right blend of strategies. You've got to build in with true recruiting first and foremost. Like, you've got to do it that way. Then you can go to the portal and you can supplement with pieces that make sense when they make sense at the right time and for the right amount of resources. And so I think Norvell is just moving knobs. Like, you're just twisting knobs. You're like, okay, portal over here. Okay, NIL over here. Okay, keep the players here. Okay, we need to recruit in-state over here. We need to recruit, you're turning knobs of where you focus your resources. And I just think he's up there like going crazy. He needs to
Wizard of Oz behind the curtain.
Yeah, and I think he just needs to be like, all right, this got me 13-0, but it also got me 2-10. And I've got to sort of slowly settle into something a little bit more cohesive and sort of stable. And so he was lauded as one of the best portal coaches in the country. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to sort of figure out, like, is that really who he is? Is that really what Florida State should be? Are they Ole Miss? Or should they be more like a Florida, more like a Georgia, and try to build a little bit slower? Like, Miami is a little bit more like that too, like the other direction. And so do you want to be more like Miami, more like Ole Miss, or do you want to do things maybe a more traditional way? And at Florida State, I would argue you have the resources to do it more traditionally. You should be able to say, now we're going to dominate on the recruiting trail. Then we're going to supplement with 20 to 25% of our roster through the portal, and it's going to be the pieces that contribute in the top 50 of the roster. So it is an experiment, and I have no idea what's going to happen long term. I think they're much better this year because I trust Gus Malzahn to do really good things with the offense. Does that make them a 10-win team? Like, it's Florida State. I guess I wouldn't be surprised, but but I think having that, I think we have them like 8th in the ACC, 7th in the ACC. Also a very interesting middle pack in the ACC. A lot of interesting teams in that sort of like 4 to 12, 10 range in the ACC. I think they have a chance to be among the better teams in that group. How much better is the question? I would have them at like 7 wins, 8 if things go right, 6 if things go poorly. But that's still a major step forward from last year. But like, I mean, heck, man, you couldn't be any worse. So
yeah. Braden, man, thanks. Athlon Magazine out on newsstands. Braden, let everybody know. I know catch you on the Athlon Pod, 440 Sports, your podcast there, talking to SEC football. Let everybody know if they want more from Braden Gall and all that good college football SEC talk where they can get it.
Yeah, SEC Football Live, 440 Sports covers all things Nashville. So if you happen to be a diehard Titans fan or Predators fan or whatever, you can check out the work we do there. But mostly SEC Football Live is the show you guys will probably care about. We talk nothing but SEC football every week, every episode. During the season, Stephen Godfrey is my host. In the offseason, we try to do a lot of trips around the conference and sort of take people to different areas. It's a lot of fun. It's on the 440 Sports Network, the YouTube page, the podcast app of choice. So just search SEC Football Live and you'll find it. You can get to me across all the socials. It's 2025, so I'm less active on the socials, but you can get to me there. I still like having conversations with normal people. So if you want to be a normal person, please come on over and hang out. We'll discuss things like how many yards DJ Lagway's going to throw for or whatever. So, and just know, come hang out and subscribe because I am anti-Miami and Florida State right now and pro-Florida right now. I can't promise that I'll have the same opinion next year, but right now I'm pro-Florida and anti-Miami and Florida State, so come on over.
Hey, always the claim of fame is 2008 Athlon being the only one picking Florida to win the national title.
Hey, I'm glad that the one market still remembers that.
Braden Gall, everybody, joining us right here on Gators Breakdown. Braden, thanks, man.
No, always a pleasure. Good to see you.